Hello and welcome to this video on the Caro Kann and the trends in 2021 European Championship in Slovenia. Slovenia is right now exploding with Corona, so I'm taking my precautions, but maybe it's a bit too much since I'm alone in my hotel room, so I'll take it off. And welcome. Well, we have had a few looks here at GM Talks on the Caro Kann. That's a very popular opening. Among others, Russia is using the Caro Kann often with black, so it's worth taking a look at. And it has developed into one of black's fighting options. It used to be a very solid opening for old player. Bent Larsen joked that if you play the Caro Kann when you're young, what are you going to play when you get old? Uh, and now all young guns they play the Caro Kann. So let's have a look. The Caro Kann comes after the opening moves e4, c6. And here in the European Championship in Slovenia, there has been a few trends. One of them is that this line is actually still rather popular. It looks ridiculous, and the ending somehow must be fine for black, but white seems to score pretty well. So I'm not sure that. And we had two games that was kind of weird when went like this. Um, and this was a novelty. And White, who was playing against Jesper Typo from Denmark, knew the next 15 moves from here and played them instantly. That was crazy, and ended up winning, even though the position after the opening was sort of equal. Another trend is to go knight f3, the so-called two-knight defense, and here Black used to play this, but there has been some new development recently where White has found some ways to avoid the queen exchange or getting a better ending after these moves. And please notice here there's a trap. If you do this, you will be disqualified by this move. Oops, that would have been embarrassing. But this seems to be fine, but Fioruccia just plays bishop g4 and won a great game against Markus Raka with this move. And black seems to be fine in this line after and just take an e6 and I think black is fine in these positions. There's not much problems here. Even though you lost the bishop pair, you got this perfect Capablanca structure with the pawns on the opposite, and white's position is a little bit clumsy. So the main idea for white is after there has been a few games with knight c3 and white has scored horrible. So it's not the old main line is simply not the main line anymore. The main line now is e5. In this tournament, black has scored badly with c5, so let's focus on the main move, bishop f5. And here, white has a few options. Actually, has a lot of options. One of them is knight d2. This has been played a few times. I think it was drawn in. I think Howell made a draw. Then there is, of course, h4, and this seems to have been solved more or less. And black plays like this, and after this move, take, he gives a check here. That's a very smart move to avoid bishop g5. And after something like this, black will follow up with these moves, and it seems there is no problem for black in this position at all. And I don't think so anyway. And Dubov from Russia, and Russian are usually very well prepared. Played this against a well-known Caro Kann player from Spain and didn't achieve anything, so it was a quick draw. So seems to be solved. But another trend that has scored really well for white is g4. This used to be a Patzer move that was supposed to be sort of bad to go g4 because of this move here and back. But here white scores very well with e6, queen d6. And when I was young, this was known as just a little bit better for black. But after something like this and f4, white does have control over this square, and this bishop is weird here, and and maybe this is an interesting opening, even though you have to go here, so you have all these ugly holes in your position. You do have this square under control, so who needs more than one square um, if you can say so. So this is maybe a very interesting and very easy to learn option. And in one game, Black actually decided to go here after g4, and after this he played something strange. I think it was Gawain Jones against Pellici. So g4 is a new trend, and we will see more of this for sure. And then we come to the main option, knight f3, the good old short variation. And it looks, when I was growing up, this was supposed to be nothing, and we all thought, you just go e6, and of course e6 is the only reasonable move, and you have a nice French structure. You will play c5, and you don't have any problems with your bad bishop. That's true. But it turned out the positions are much more complex than anybody thought. First of all, you might often miss your white squared bishop on the queen side. It turns out there is often problems that you simply collapse on the white squares due to the bishop is out of the game. It also turned out that if white can exchange this knight for this bishop, the bishop here, I will make that yellow, he is much better because black will have problems generating counterplay. And the reason for that is that when you don't have the white squared bishop, the typical French counterplay with f6 gives huge problems on the white squares. So and that's what French people, they thought, but we never have problems on the white squares. Our bad bishop always defends it. So when the bad bishop is gone, you might get trouble on the white squares. So this turned out to be very interesting, and white was also looking at different options of blowing the center up and so on. There are many maneuvers, and so this is really the topical stuff here. And right now, as I record this video, Jobava is black, and he plays this move in this position against Firuzja, who's white, and it seems that he believes this system is the. But I'm curious what Firuzja would do after c4, c5. This is the main move is also recommended in Schandorf's book, rather new book on the Caro Kann, where they had a lot of analysis built on correspondence games. The thing is, of course, c5 is very ambitious, and like I talked about earlier, the white squares here are already sort of under attack, and after something like this could also be a problem. And here we have a very, very special situation. White is developing at lightning speed, trying to blast black away as fast as possible, and black is going with the queen, going for the testament pawn, or the I don't know what the English word is. I think testament pawn, maybe. I don't know. c6, and all this been played, and this position has been reached twice in the tournament, and it looks really weird. The thing is that white is threatening rook b1 and rook takes b7, and if that goes, then the white squares are really a big problem for black. Also, we see that all these pieces here are undeveloped. So it's not a simple position. There is also something like this in the air. So black has to play really, really, really precisely here. And unfortunately for white, he has to take with the bishop and allow a pin. And here there are two options. You can play this move, I think, and the best move is bishop a5, I believe. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think so. And you can play this move. This move has been played twice but it seems, and Navara was playing rapidly in this game against Duda, with the, by the way, very cool name, Krzysztof, with 2 sets. It's kind of funny. This ending. So what can we say? Black is behind with one. White has lost a pawn, but he is black. He's threatening this one. That was a little bit too far. Oops, no, never mind. And this one making all the pawns weird. If black just had two moves like b6 and bishop d6, he would just be more or less winning positionally. But he doesn't have two moves. He only has one. And threatening to trap the bishop with g4. And so getting air for white's king and providing another weakness for black's structure, but also giving this square to the rook. c4, and white is of course trying to use his lead in development to do something. Black is hurrying to get pieces out. Rook d2. And by the way, in the other games, I can't remember who was white, but it was Bluebaum who was black. White did this move here, which was a novelty. And after this, he played c5, and it was very unclear, but rather it was also very drawish. Rook d2 is the move given by Shandorf. Black, of course, play castle. And the thing is, you have to be careful not to open the position too much, because this might turn into a predator eating all kind of pawns everywhere. So d4, just not allowing any white square bishop to become too active, because bishop and rook in this position can be really strong. This is, by the way, all theory. Also, this move, 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 and g6. And all this was in Nikos's book, and he kept blitzing. And rook d8, turns out there is nothing to see in the ending. So, well, let's exchange, please. And they exchange. And a funny moment arises. Does he take? No, because then the pawn ending might be losing after the king comes to c4. So that could be too risky. So kind of a cool decision just to allow the pawn to go forward, because black has a fortress, as we will see here. And this is very cool fortress. We see this bishop cannot do anything because the king here is guarding this pawn. I'll make that red. And this pawn is guarding here, and this knight is guarding here, making that a barrier for the king to enter. So the only way the king can enter is if white gets to play a4, a5, but that then disappears on that wing, and it will be rather easy for black to hold on the king's side. So, especially since he has only one weakness, this one here. So we will see. And here we have a really cool solution by black. Knight f6. Just having found out that this one here is the wrong color compared to this. So you only have to get rid of the g pawn to make sure it's a draw. So take, and f4. And we have a draw here. So this is the current trend in the Caro Kann. The Caro Kann is live and well. g4 and move 4 in the advanced variation looks interesting, even though it looks a little bit like a sort of a Patzer move, or it's very blunt to just go g4 anyway, but it could be interesting. And at the moment, black is alive and well in the Caro Kann, and white is scratching his head to find new ideas in this opening that is now for young people and not old men. This was DM Talks. Thank you for